Alright, so for those of y'all who want to get into Vdrone and you actually want to start flying with us, or just flying on your own, or just practicing, or just wanting to kill time during this pandemic that we're facing. So what you want to do is you want to get to Vdrone.com, get your account, Vdrone, I think it's $20, download the appropriate one for your system. Now when you download it, it is going to go to your downloads folder. You're going to have a Vdrone download thing that will look like this. The Vdrone Windows launcher, or whatever OS you have. You always want to launch the program from this launcher. Not this one. This one. Now I moved that from my downloads folder, so in case I go in and actually clean my computer, which I do fairly regularly, I don't accidentally delete it, because your game is actually stored in that folder. And if you empty your downloads folder, you deleted the game, you have to download it again. And if you remember, it takes a while. So once you do this, it'll check for updates every time. Hit play. Waiting for it to load. Alright, so once you get to this screen, the new Nemesis thing, you can Google that. It tells you what it is. First thing you're going to want to do is go to controller, and to assign a controller, you can't see what's going outside here, but I have my radio, which in this case is a Tango 2. It works the same for almost any radio. It's plugged into a USB port. I'll hit assign controller, and it says move a stick on the controller, so I'll move the throttle. Okay, got that, and this will automatically show up. To assign the sticks, you don't have to follow those, just move the 4 sticks and then just center them. It's telling it what's what. So now I want you to move the stick on the right to the right. Done. Stick on the right up, stick on the left to the right, stick on the left up. Ask you to center the sticks, and then it'll say move the roll, move the pitch, move the yaw, move the throttle. And then you just verify that the quad does what it's supposed to do. And if it's not doing what it's supposed to do, you can come in here, you can right click, and you can come in and invert whatever you need to do. But typically it's right as long as you moved it to the right, moved it up, moved it to the right, moved it up, and you did exactly what it says. You usually don't have to invert it. As far as these options for race start, I usually like to apply to a button. So I've got this little button here, which you can hear clicking. So I just click that, click over here, and I have an arm switch. So click arm, click that, flip over after crash, click that, and this, they can move in that little rocker. So if I wanted to, I could do a battery recharge. Whenever I get to that position, the battery will recharge, provided you're not in a race. That's all there is to this. Alright, so after you're done with that, you want to come into options, main settings, scroll down. You can choose your indicator color, which is the little Vdrone logo you'll see inside the gates. You can pick it. I like blue, personally. That's just my personal color. Pick whatever you want. This is how fast the system can reads your stick inputs. So typically it's at normal, and depending on how fast your computer can go and how fast your USB is, you can move this up to fast. Basically lowers your latency a little bit. Kind of like going from an old FR Sky radio to, say, Crossfire's top, like lowest latencies. That's what this makes a difference. BTX mode is an aesthetic thing, so you get the static just whenever you start off, and whenever you fly around, you get random static. Music volume is what it's self-explanatory. Sound effects like the swoosh going through the gate. Motor volume, which is like propeller noise. I mean, come on, it's pretty easy. Ghost motor volume, so when you're flying a time attack or you have a ghost which that nemesis, you're going to have like a lot of ghosts going on now, so you can actually hear that ghost when he flies past you, or if you fly past him, you'll hear it. Gate sound you can pick, no sound, a ping, a swoosh, so like when you go through it, or a ting, like a guy spitting in a can. Speed, velocity, ground speed, so basically airspeed or ground speed. Sticks, mode 2, most of us are mode 2. If you're not, change it to fit. Auto leaderboard up, leave that at yes. It's a nice thing to have. If it's not yes, go ahead and change it, because basically it'll show you where you rank on a certain track after you finish your own personal race. And that also varies if you're doing a 3-lap run or a single lap. If you're doing a 3-lap single race, you'll get your 3-lap time. If you're doing anything else, you'll get your best lap of that run. Announcements, you can have lap time or delta. And what delta is, it tells you how far behind the leader you are. I typically just do lap time because I like to know my laps. And I can measure consistency. Countdown to start, you can just hit that button and you're off you go. There's no delay. You can do a crash restart where every time you crash, you start over. Or 3, 2, 1, start. In this case, if you crash, you just restart at the last gate you passed. Voice announcements basically tells you where you are when you pass the start-finish gate. This is kind of pointless, doesn't really do anything. So when you finish the race, it'll show your statistics. You can do never close, auto close, 5, 10. I do 3 because 1, 2, 3, cool. If I want to see it again, I can click the button on the right side to make it come back up. This is for online multiplayer. If you wanted to have it so that people can't just randomly join, you could change it to restricted. And unrestricted means they can just join whenever they want. What's that mean? It means that whenever they join, there's sometimes a slight lag, and some pilots crash. So you can change it to restricted if you're having a lot of issues with that. Screen settings. So go down the list. Auto adjust quality, no, because this will cause you to crash when it happens. FPS to 9999. Basically, this will just go as many frames per second as it can. To start out with, fastest 1920 by 1080. I'm running a 120 hertz monitor, so I have it set for 120 hertz. Depending on what you have, just set it for whatever you have. If you have a 144 hertz monitor, when you click to the right, you will get those extra settings. If you have 240 hertz, you'll get those extra settings. Just whatever your monitor can do, you'll get the extra settings, and you can just keep clicking to the right. I'm running a 4K monitor, but I still recommend running 1920 by 1080 to kind of keep that frame rate. You want to keep it above 200 if at all possible. Anything lower than 200 and you'll start to notice that the quad feels floaty. Full screen, yes, personal preference. I like to have it full screen so I'm not distracted by anything. As it is, I turn this little thing off whenever I'm actually racing. Graphics rendering, forward for low-powered graphics, deferred for high-powered graphics. I like forward. Gives me that extra 20 to 50 frames per second for this, and I don't really notice any quality difference. Pretty much I set everything at its minimum setting. With the exception of, nope, everything's at its minimum setting. Apply settings. You can also change it to be letterbox, so if you wanted to have a letterbox look, you can shrink it in to make it 4:3 if that's what you want to fly with. Alright, then go to quad settings. I like to crank this to max so it feels as real as possible. This will not matter with the setting we're doing here in a minute, so it gets like it's obsolete. Rear spotlight, basically, can you see is there a spotlight on the quad in front of you? I'd have it off. Low detail quads. I mean, how often are you sitting there staring at someone else's quad? Just set it for off. No, sorry, set it for true, because you're never going to be staring at someone's quad. Mid-air collisions. It's up to you if you want to have mid-airs or not. Personally, I don't like to run into other people. Trails, this is like a ribbon behind every quad that shows the last second and a half of their flight. And you can kind of make it so you can see them better. On a multiplayer, it's kind of cool. Personally, I don't like to turn around and see my own tail. Audio, you can do from the start block, or you can do on quad. So you can have it where, do you hear it as if you were sitting in the quad, the constant noise, or do you hear it like the Doppler effect when you fly by? If you don't know what Doppler effect is, Google it. True lens, you want this set to true. this makes it feel like an actual drone. If you set this to false, it feels like you're flying drunk. Play with it. It's fun. And you want to actually fly, you're going to want this on true. As far as what lens, you have micro, standard. I run a micro 2.1 in all my quads, so that's what I set it for. True lens quality, just set it to high. There's no real benefit to setting it to anything else that I could find. There's no save. Whatever you do here, it's just automatically saved. You don't have to do anything. All right, so that's all the settings. Whenever you come to join us for multiplayer, you'll come in, you'll pick a quad, and as far as picking a quad, you just add a quad, select it, select the model, you can name it, and hit save. Now, when you hit save, it looks like nothing happened. It actually did happen, and if you want, you can left click and play with this. When you come back, you'll see that that new quad is sitting there. And then you want to come in here. Don't mess with these. This is the physics of the quad, and if you mess with them, it can make you fly faster. However, when you go to race, you're not going to be ready for what the race environment is going to be. So leave this alone. When you go to race, they actually force you to set these back to normal. Even if you want to lie and do this, and just pitch small 0, as soon as you go into the race, it's going to bring them all back to 100. Prop size, this is actually pretty realistic, so set this whatever your normal prop is. Prop power, 100%. This is kind of like your throttle cut. If you want a throttle cut, I recommend not using the radio to do it, because I've noticed Vdrone tends to rescale. So it works while you're there, but as soon as you exit the program and come back, that throttle cup will now be 0 to 100% again. Prop wash, like if you want to have prop wash, you can put prop wash in here. It's a simulator. Why have prop wash? Minimum throttle, this is basically for manual arming. If you have this set too low and you're not able to actually hit that point on your sticks, then you won't be able to arm. Same as in beta flight, nothing different here. Quad weight, I think this is based off a 500 gram quad. Honestly, just leave it alone. Set your camera angle to whatever it is. I mean, I'm running 45, so I set 45. My real world's 45, so don't do this. This will make it so that yaw and roll are mixed together, so that whenever you go to yaw, you actually yaw at the camera's horizontal plane rather than the drone's horizontal plane. That sounds nice, but it's not what you want. It's not what you will be used to flying. Battery simulator set to true. Set it for 1500 milliamp to start out with and see what you think. You can play with this if you want. It does make a difference, but it's not a huge one. When you're done, hit OK, and then you select that quad. When you come to join us, this is going to be our thing, Dallas Drone Racing, all one word with a capital D there, a capital D, and a capital R. And then you just hit join session. If nothing pops up right here, odds are you're not up to date with the launcher, and you probably need to exit and come back. You will not see this session, because whenever I host it as hidden, so we don't have random people just come and join us. So I'm going to hit host, but you would hit join. You don't have to check this at all. Just make sure you're in America, Dallas Drone Racing, and then hit join. All right, and you're not going to see this. I would set this up. So I would pick a track. I'll pick how this is all laid out. 3 laps. Basically, everyone gets to do 3 laps no matter what. I mean, even if you're the slowest pilot in the world, you'll still get your time, which could be 20 minutes to do 3 laps. Or we'll ask you, hey, you good? And then we'll continue on. Or I'll do 2 minutes. Or I can set it for laps, and I can do 10 or 1 lap. Depends on how we want to do it. Single class, basically you can fly whatever you want, but it locks it in so that you can't change those physics. Custom class means that whatever I am flying when I start this, whatever quad I picked at the settings I picked, everyone's flying it. It's kind of like forced spec. If I did open class, you could mess with those physics. You could do whatever you want, and you could come in here and just obliterate all of us. Normal, which is what I'll always run it at, is you get to fly, and if you crash, you auto reset the last gate, you continue on. If I set it for event, the second you crash, you are out of the race, and you're basically you're up to the gate you crashed at. So if someone crashed one gate after you, they beat you. If somebody crashed one gate before you, you beat them. But you can keep flying, but none of it counts. And you'll notice in the bottom left side of the screen that none of your times are being counted past that crash. Arming, auto or manual, I'll always have it set for auto, so you don't have to worry about turtle crash flip mode or arming or anything like that. You just fly. So we got this all set up. I'll hit this. And this applies to others, not just ours. So you'll come in, you'll be sitting here.
Ready to race.
You'll get the ready to race. So you can see me sitting right here on the ground. So if you want to spectate, you can hit the S button and it'll put you in spectate mode and you can cycle through the cameras. And if you hit F, you go back into your quad. And when there's other people joined, you'll see their names here. You can click on their names with your mouse and take you into their camera. You can watch what they're flying and you can see what their sticks are doing. So whenever the race starts, I'll just hit my little race start button. You get a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then you go. You get the idea. You just kind of fly around. And then when the race is over, I'll come over here, I'll look at this, I'll see our times, and I'll type it into the spreadsheet, which I'll show you in a minute. And I can also come in here, and this is how I'll control who flies and who doesn't. So I'll change it to spectating, I'll change it to flying, just based on what heat you're in, and etc. There, see? I can fly. 28 seconds on this course. Alright, so after we're done racing, everything's over. And you don't have to do multiplayer, you can go into single player and you can do the same thing. You can pick your quad and then go pick any track you want. And there's a crap ton. You can search for them. And if you ever wanted to, you could always... Alright, so we covered that, so we'll go to track editor. So this is where I've created my tracks, and if you wanted to go ahead and find anything I've uploaded, do a search for my name. Kind of hard because I have a very unique name. I don't have a very unique name, and everyone who has FPV in their slogan, like this guy has OFP, it kind of puts them all in there. But here you go, DDR4, April 20 years, tracked by me, DDR4, put your fastest 5-inch down, fast 15, back to norm, here's the mission series. Basically anything that says OFP is a track that I designed. You can download all of those. You can also download anything else. So if you want, like, say, anything from IO, from the International Open. Being stubborn. Of course it is, because I'm recording a video. Anyway, yeah, you can go through here and just search for pretty much anything you wanted to. You could probably find it. Yeah, there's the VRL tracks. When you can download these tracks and you can edit them, you can play with them, you can see how they designed them, and you can make your own tracks. Plenty of videos on how to create tracks. You don't have, I'm not going to go through that in this video. Alright, so that is it for this, for how to run this race. Now, as far as the spreadsheet, oh, that helps. Wrong. So you'll join the race, and I'll have typed in all these names for everyone who's here. So we'll just do if we had 7 pilots, of course I'll do 7 to a heat. We'll just all fly at the same time. We just keep going. If we had more, I would find a number where there's the same number of heats per one, and you can see that heat 1 is these 4, heat 2 is these 4, and etc. And I would assign it that way. So you'll get your heat assignment here. So here's where you'll know which heat you're in. And then if we're doing lapse time qualifying, come in here, and this is where you get to follow all the rounds and see how you did. So 2 minutes, 33.731 seconds, got 2 laps. So not great. Round 2, I got 5 laps with a very similar time. And you can see how it all progresses. And when that's done with that, we'll click on the mains. This will have your mains. It's all seated, and you'll get to see how many points you get, and then I will bump you up accordingly, and you'll get to follow along with the sheet. You'll have access to view it, but you can't edit it, so don't worry about accidentally clicking something. You can't do it. And that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a PM. Enjoy.